A little bit about this car. Was originally a 289 with a C4. It was a sports sprint, actually. So 289 two barrel C4 automatic power steering car. Um, in 1990, I put a 460 in it with a C6, basically stock 460 from I think it was a 73 Thunderbird. The steering had to be changed over to manual because of the headers I had at the time. I'm using now some headers from FPA that it might have been able to use the factory power steering, but um, by eliminating the power steering, I got rid of the pump. There was a hydraulic assist type ram there and hoses and stuff. All that's gone. Of course, they would have had the giant Spiromatic shaft that went from the gearbox all the way up. I've changed the column to a collapsible 68 style column. It's got a Saturn Vue uh, electric power assist. So it's in the shaft. I can do a video on that later, maybe. But so it has electric power steering, which is kind of nice. So it's no pumps, no hoses, no leaks, nothing to worry about. I don't have to have accessories on the motor. So and that gives me clearance for the headers. I do got to put the cross member back on that goes across here. It's sitting over there by that transmission. I took the motor out, because it had a leak in it, but in basically a stock 429 with a Holley 750 vacuum secondary on it, and drove it that way for, oh gosh, 20 years maybe, close to it. And eventually swapped out the headers, like I said, to the custom made ones here because the other ones were long tubes and they would drag on everything. I had some issues on Hot Rod Power Tour twice with the C6. So I think it's like 8 years ago, I put in this TKO 600. And then around that same time, I was messing with the 429, put in a bigger cam, roller rockers, all kinds of stuff. Ended up breaking one rocker, and two others had come close to breaking. And anyway, sent some metal through the motor. I decided at that time I was going to just rebuild the engine. The crankshaft had some scoring, could have been saved, yeah, but you know how it goes. I decided at that time to take I was going to get a 460 crank. I hadn't saved the other one, but I was going to get a 460 crank from this, or for this block. This is the 70 429 block. Ended up pricing everything, and I was able to get a stroker crank with rods and pistons, 30 over, everything to basically make it a 502. So I've not taken it down the strip with the 502 and the TKO. I did make some passes, just testing tunes with it when it was basically a stock 429 C6. And it was very traction limited. I run a 275 tire, street tire. Just it even with that setup, at testing tunes anyway, it would have trouble launching without spinning the tires. And I think my best run, I'll have to dig out the time slip there in the console, but I think was a 13 flat, 13 seconds. So not super impressive for a big block car, but again, really couldn't launch it because it was traction limited. Now it's going to be even worse because the 502 makes 615 horsepower, 628 pound-feet of torque. I still got the 325 in it. I'm thinking I'll change that ratio because before with a 3-speed, it had no overdrive, and that ratio worked pretty good. But right now, the TKO gear ratios are much better, so I could probably run like a 370. I'm thinking that's what I'll probably go to, or a 350. Probably 370, might as well. This is not a daily driver. I don't know if I'll have that in time for No Name Nationals, though. This car, though, I have had an oil leak. Turned out to be this plug in the back of the block. Right there. When I had the block machined, I had them hot tank it and bore it and put freeze plugs and cam bearings in it. And they put the wrong kind of plug in there, so that was leaking. For a long time, it was a small leak, but it was annoying. But I thought it was the rear main, and I knew I would have to pull the engine and stuff to fix it. So I just kind of lived with it, but it finally got annoying enough that I decided to take it out. So I've cleaned this all up, cleaned the transmission, fixed the leak, run the oil pump with the drill. Everything seems to be good there. I think I got the leak fixed. Again, wanted to have that done before No Name Nationals. Don't want to put any oil on the track. The combination, like I said, has never been run on a track that it'll be in its current form. So with the TKO, the 502, and the 325 gear, of course on street tires, I would still have to do some things like a drive shaft safety loop. I'm probably going to have to get some sort of traction bars. It wheel hops something fierce if you rev it and dump the clutch. I've got some Nitto 555s on the back, so they're pretty grippy. And so it'll wheel hop pretty bad. So for the No Name Nationals, we have to launch it kind of soft and then maybe get after it. But I'm very curious to see what it'll do. I've never run it on an 1/8 mile track either, so we'll see how it does. I did put in the line lock so I can do a burnout in the burnout box without fancy footwork. This is before I'd have to rev it, dump the clutch, and quickly hit the brake pedal. And then, of course, when you're doing that, you're getting your rear brakes hot. I have a Lincoln Versailles 9-inch rear end in it, so it has the old school Lincoln Versailles disc brakes in the back, and it's got Granada spindles in the front. So it's not the best brakes, but for this small of a car, it works pretty good. Front end's sitting up kind of high because there's no motor in it right now. It does sit a little lower. I'm also, I've got a wide band I'm going to put on it. So I was just getting ready to drill a hole and weld the bung on there. I'm going to do that so I can tune the carburetor. This thing is really hard to get the spark plugs out of. I put new ones in while the motor was out, but these middle ones here are really hard to get to with the shock tower. I can reach these easy enough. These I have to put the socket on. Where's my socket? Would you know, I probably put it away. But I have to put the socket on, and it has a... Is it in here? It's got the wrench thing on the end, and you have to use a wrench because you can't fit a ratchet in there. So, bit of a pain. Anyway, I put the wideband on. I've got a new carburetor. This is a Holley 900 or 950. I can't remember. It's a double pumper with no choke on it. Again, don't drive this thing when it's really cold anyway, so you don't need a choke. When I ran it on the dyno, he was saying that it was running pretty lean, and we kept jetting up that's a 850 or 870 Street Avenger. They call it an 870, but it's really an 850. I did cut the plug apart, and you can see this should only be maybe an eighth, and it's about halfway up when you cut this off, so you can see down in there. It was running richer than I thought, but I'm going to get the wideband hooked up, and then we'll tune the Holley. So hopefully I can get it sorted before No Name Nationals. I did get like I said, I got the line lock hooked up. When I converted it to the TKO, I didn't have a neutral safety switch, so I had just bypassed that, and so it would start in gear. I also didn't hook up my reverse lights, so I fixed all that while I had it apart. So got some relays, or a relay for that. Anyway, video's been a little longer than I intended, but trying to get her ready for No Name Nationals. It's got a Holley Sniper electric fuel pump, in tank fuel pump. Hard to see in there in the dark. I do have the wheel studs. I don't know if I'll get them in time, but I do have wheel studs so I can run slicks. Like I said, I'm going to have to get drive shaft safety loops. I don't know if I'll get all that stuff done before No Name Nationals. But the basic combo, it'll be running and driving here soon. I got to travel out of town again. But when I get back, I'll hopefully be ready to stuff the motor in. I was hoping to get it in this week while I'm home, but I had work-related things, other things going on. So I didn't get as far as I wanted with it, but it's going to be ready, and it's going to be fun just to take it down the track with this combination. The end of July now. Anyway, this video's been a little longer than I thought, but just wanted to kind of give an update. I am also upgrading to a 3G alternator. Those are all my upgrades when I pulled the motor out this time. So 3G alternator, line lock, little wiring. There's another video I did on the electric fuel pump conversion, so if you want to watch that video and see why I did that and how I did it. But it does have genuine real side exit exhaust, and so it has that AAR CUDA style muffler. Not the best for flow. When I did the dyno, everything on the dyno, it was open headers with these actual headers, and they seem to flow pretty good. I don't know how much restriction that exhaust will have. So anyway, so that's where I'm at. Long enough video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.